Hi students, last session we have seen this atoms and all. Now in this session we will go ahead with nuclei, and this is in this particular topic modern physics. This is also important. It carries 6 marks. So far we have seen 5 plus 5 plus 9. Now it is a 6 marks. Okay. Nuclei, in this you have got about nucleus and as well as radioactivity, and it is quite easy only. It is not difficult. Almost theory, no derivations. Only in radioactivity you will have derivations, that I will be showing. So the very first thing is here, what do you mean by this? We used to call it as nuclear physics. So nuclear physics means the study pertaining to nucleus is nothing but nuclear physics. Okay. Normally you are all well aware of what do you mean by nucleus, and normally nucleus means we remember this ZXA. What are the constituents of the nucleus? What are the constituents of the nucleus means nucleus mainly consists of protons and neutrons, and Z is the atomic number of protons, A is number of protons and as well as neutrons. Say, you see that sentence what I am telling, like I am telling nucleus mainly consists of protons and neutrons. What is the meaning of it? Mainly consists of protons and neutrons means, and it may have some other particles also. It has many other particles. There are nearly 140 types of mesons are there, 120 types of baryons are present inside the nucleus. That is in detail, it is a different thing. But what does nucleus consist of means you can say just protons and neutrons. Okay. Now here that is about nucleus. Now types of nuclei. Types of nuclei. Now very first we will be writing like types of nuclei. First one is isotopes. You are aware of it, isotopes. What are isotopes? What are isotopes means? You know very well, isotopes are nothing but the nuclei having same atomic number but different mass number. Same atomic number but different mass number. Now I say I take 6C12 and 6C14 as an example. I am telling 6C12 and 6C14 isotopes, nuclei having same atomic number but different mass number. And you can have even 1H1, 1H1, 1H2, 1H2 and 1H3. You know all these things. This is light hydrogen, this is heavy hydrogen, this is called tritium we call, nucleus of it triton, deuterium, deuteron, and this is protium, proton. We are aware of it. That is about isotopes. Okay. So now here next you have got isobars. What are isobars means the nuclei having same mass number but different atomic number. Same mass number and different atomic number, isobars. Come on, you try to have these things also, isobars. So what are the examples? I can take something like 6C14, okay, 6C14, 7N14, 7N14, okay. It has got same mass number but different atomic number. This type of things if I take it, and it will be, even I can take one more also just to show it, 1H3, 1H3, I can write one more, 2He3, 2He3, come on, you see this, this is 1H3 and 2He3, different atomic number but same mass number, okay. And you have got isotones. Isotones means they are nothing but the nuclei having same number of neutrons, same number of neutrons. Those are called as isotones. Come on, try to have, because 1 mark question also you are not supposed to leave here. That is the reason I am telling. Isotones. Isotones, these are nothing but the nuclei having same mass number, same number of neutrons, same number of neutrons. Now if I take example, you can take 6C14, 6C14, Z is 6. Okay, what is neutron number? Neutron number is nothing but A minus Z. I hope you are aware of it. A minus Z, 14 minus 6, 8. Okay. Now I take one more here, 6C14 and 7N15. Pair I am taking. This is one pair in which neutron number 15 minus 7, it is 8. So you can create those things. And again you have got isomers. Isomers means that is also very simple. Isomers, they have got same mass number, same atomic number, but they are in different excited states. Let me say 6C14. One more I will take 6C14, but this is under excited state. 6C14 and 6C14, they are in excited state. This type of things are called isotones. Okay. Now, another important, now 5-mark question here, very important 5-mark question, first 5-mark question in nuclei, that is properties of nucleus. Be careful, properties of nucleus. This is the very first 5-mark question in this. General properties of nucleus or characteristics of nucleus, whatever it might be. Characteristics of nucleus or general properties of nucleus. The very first one, nuclear size. Nuclear size. Come on, you say nuclear size. You know, size of the nucleus increases with mass number. You know, size of the nucleus increases with mass number. Volume, volume of the nucleus is proportional to A. Proportional to A. It's like volume is proportional to area, not area here. It is mass number. And of course, no doubt, volume increases with increase in area. That is true. But here this V is the volume and this is mass number. Now, by assuming nucleus to be a sphere, if I take R as the radius of the nucleus, then 4/3 pi r cube is proportional to A. Come on, try to understand this also. I am telling by assuming nucleus to be a sphere. What is the meaning of it? Definitely nucleus is not a sphere. When I say assuming nucleus to be a sphere means nucleus is not a sphere. Come on, sometimes considering earth to be a sphere, what is the meaning? Earth is not a sphere. Definitely earth is not a sphere. Considering earth to be a sphere means definitely earth is not a sphere. If earth is sphere, why should I consider? Why should I consider? Okay. So now here 4/3 pi r cube is proportional to A and r cube is proportional to A and r is proportional to A to the power 1/3. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. R equals R0 into A to the power 1/3. This is the only little bigger characteristic in this, that is nuclear size we are writing. That nuclear size is nothing but this volume of the nucleus is proportional to mass number. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. By assuming nucleus to be a sphere, 4/3 pi r cube is proportional to A. Then r cube is proportional to A, r is proportional to A to the power 1/3, r equals R0 into A to the power 1/3. Where that R0 is called as Fermi constant. We call it as Fermi constant. The value of R0, we can take it as 1.2 Fermi. We will take like even 1.3 Fermi also. Say Fermi, 1 Fermi is 10 power minus 15 meter. This is 1 Fermi is 10 power minus 15 meter. Say Fermi is a unit of distance, unit of length. Angstrom is a unit of length. 10 power minus 15, just 10 power minus 15 if I write, it is femto. It is femto. 10 power minus 15 meter means it is Fermi. Okay. Try to remember those things. And next, this is the first property. Next, you need not go in an order. Whichever you remember, you can write. The first one you can say nuclear size. Nuclear mass. Next, mass of the constituents of the nucleus. Kelre, mass of the constituents of the nucleus. That's it. Mass of the constituents of the nucleus is called nuclear mass. And it is given by M equals ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn. Remember. So this is the nuclear mass. What is nuclear mass means? It is nothing but ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn. Mp is mass of the proton. Mn is mass of the neutron multiplied, that is. How many number of protons are there? Z number of protons. How many number of neutrons are there? A minus Z. That's it. ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn. Next, one more property I will be writing. You say there are 5 properties for 5 marks, or even if they ask for, if you are writing only 4 also, nuclear charge 4 also, we can take, for this itself we can take 2 marks we can write. Nuclear charge I am writing. Nuclear charge. What is nuclear charge means? Charge on the nucleus is nothing but total charge present on the nucleus is nothing but nuclear charge. Q equals, I write just plus ZE. Why not? Charge on proton. Charge on proton is nothing but plus E. How many protons are there? Z number of protons are there plus ZE. Neutrons, they don't carry any charge, so we don't write. Come on, listen. Nuclear size, nuclear mass, nuclear charge. Okay. So now nuclear density, next one. Nuclear density. What is nuclear density means? This fourth property, I will take it as fourth property, nuclear density. Nuclear density, just the definition of density. Density anywhere, we say like rho is nothing but mass by volume. That's it. We define like, how we define here is, we define like, it is defined as a ratio of mass of the nucleus to the size of the nucleus, volume of the nucleus. It is nothing but mass of the nucleus divided by size of the nucleus, volume of the nucleus. Here you say mass I have taken already, come on listen, mass I have taken it as ZMP plus A minus Z Mn. I hope you know we have taken like this, A minus Z Mn we have taken. Okay. So now here mass of the proton in terms of electron I will give 1836 times mass of the electron, and mass of the neutron is taken as 1840 times mass of the electron, quite nearby values. So that means Mp is approximately equal to Mn, true or not? In case if I take, if Mp is equal to Mn, Mp is equal to Mn, that is approximately equal to M, that is approximately equal to M. That M I will take it as average mass of each nucleon. If I take that as average mass of each nucleon, now this M I can write like this, Zm. Mp also I am taking it as M plus A minus Z M. Come on, understand, A minus Z M. If you multiply Zm and this Zm minus Zm cancels, M will become just Am. Mass into mass of the nucleon. This is average mass of nucleon into A. In such a case, you observe here, this will become M into A divided by 4 by 3 pi r cube. Why 4 by 3 pi r cube? You are aware of it. It is volume is 4 by 3 pi r cube. R is again, I write like R naught A to the power 1 by 3 tilkondiridu cube. Then that will be MA 3 MA by 4 pi R naught cube A cancels. What is density? Density is nothing but 3m by density. Here I will write separately. You see 3m by 4 pi R naught cube. What I am telling here, for 1 mark question I have discussed this much here about this. Nuclear density is independent of mass number. As mass number increases, nuclear density never increases. It remains same. Mass increases, charge increases, but whereas density remains same. I hope you are aware of it. 1 liter of water if I take, or 1 gallon of water if I take, what is the density? Or 1 centimeter cube of water, density remains same. Amount might be changing, volume might be changing, mass might be changing, density remains constant. And again here 1 more question, one more will be asking always. Density of nucleus is in the order of 10 power 17 kg per meter cube. You can't imagine only. Write down this and remember. It is taken as around 2.27 or 2.3. 2.3 into 10 power 17. 10 power 17 kg per meter cube. 1 meter cube of nuclei only if you put together, it will weigh 10 power 17 kilograms. 1 meter cube of water, if you take 1 tank containing, one tank of length 1 meter, breadth 1 meter, height 1 meter. If you pour water into it and if you find out the mass, it is 1000 kilograms. 1000, this is 10 power 17. Then 10 power 17 is a very huge number. Next, one more property. Keep noting all these things. When seeing only, you have to keep noting it down. Then only you will get it. Just like that, if you keep watching, it's of no use always. You have to have a pen and paper, and whatever we are telling, you have to write and practice. Once or twice, if you do it, it will be there in your mind. And next, we say one more: nuclear spin and nuclear magnetic moment. Nuclear spin and nuclear magnetic moment. These are all general properties of nucleus only. Nuclear spin and nuclear magnetic moment. Come on, nuclear magnetic moment. See here, just like electrons, inside the nucleus, even protons and neutrons will also be spinning. Due to spin protons, some magnetic moment arises. That magnetic moment is called nuclear magnetic moment. What you can say sentence here, just like electrons, protons and neutrons also spin. That is nothing but nuclear spin. When they are spinning, some magnetic moment will be there. When a charged particle is moving, it is associated with magnetic field. So there will be a magnetic moment, that is called nuclear magnetic moment. That we call it as nuclear magnetic moment. And even that nuclear magneton, we call that magnetic moment associated. We write it as EH by 4 pi mp. EH by 4 pi mp. Okay. So try to remember. Say what are the general properties of nucleus means. General properties of nucleus. One is nuclear size. One is nuclear size. And then nuclear mass, nuclear charge, nuclear density, nuclear spin. 5 marks. Quite important. Okay. Now I'll talk about another thing. Nuclear forces here. What are nuclear forces? Just nuclear energy. We'll get back to that. Later we'll be talking. Now nuclear forces. What are nuclear forces means? Here inside the nucleus there are protons, there are neutrons. Okay, let me say these are all protons. Okay, these are all protons, and I will take just this as neutrons. There are neutrons. Okay, neutrons are there and protons are there. Okay, now there are many number of protons are there. When there are many number of protons and many number of neutrons, between proton there must be a repulsion. I hope you know there must be a repulsion, proton and proton. In case if there exists such a repulsive force here, nucleus should not be stable. It has to blast like anything, because when you are bringing them very very close, force of repulsion will be very very high, but they have been attracted. So that is what we will be telling. What we say now, when you bring two protons closer and closer, there will be a force of repulsion. And when you bring those two protons, we can't represent here, those two protons within a distance of Fermi, within a distance of 10 power minus 15 meter, you can't imagine that distance. I'll tell you 10 power minus 15 meter, 1 meter, you are aware of it, 1 meter. 1,000th of that, I am writing bigger one only actually, 1,000th of it, I'll take it as 1 millimeter. You know what is 1 millimeter? You are aware of it. 1 millimeter, if I divide into two parts, and I hope you can see, with naked eye you can see. 1 millimeter if I divide into 10 parts, can you see? Agatam? No. You have to use lens. 1 millimeter I will divide into 1000 parts. You have to go for a powerful lens. 1 millimeter I will divide into million parts. Million parts, where can you see? If I divide 1 millimeter into million parts, it is 10 power minus 9. 10 power minus 9. Okay. I am talking about 10 power minus 15. This part again divided into 1 million parts. You can't imagine only. That close when you bring, we say there will be only force of attraction. There is no force of repulsion at all. Those forces are called nuclear forces. What are nuclear forces means? The forces with which nucleons inside the nucleus are bounded. The forces with which nucleons inside the nucleus are bounded, those are called as nuclear forces. Okay, now in nuclear forces here, I will talk about nuclear forces and then properties of nuclear forces. Be careful here. You have to be careful here. Properties of nuclear forces I am telling. Properties of nucleus is different. Sometimes it happens, most of the time some students, when I ask nucleus, they'll write nuclear forces. Okay, they know both, but still they'll get confused. Nuclear forces are different and these are different. Few things I'll be giving, you try to know. Nuclear forces are strongest forces in nature. Nuclear forces are strongest forces in nature. That is one point. They are strongly attractive. No repulsion. These are strongly attractive nuclear forces. And again, they are short range forces. Short range. Why? They will come into play only within a small distance. So we call them as short range forces. Nuclear forces are short range forces. I hope you are getting it. Nuclear forces are short range forces. Okay. And again, they do not obey inverse square law. It is like you say, when two things I am bringing closer and so it is inversely proportional to r square. But whereas within the nucleus, here is a proton, here is the proton. You bring again proton here. When you are bringing within a small distance, it doesn't obey inverse square law. Okay, that is, they do not obey inverse square law. You try to remember that they do not obey inverse square law, and again they are charge independent. What is the meaning? Between proton there exists a force of attraction. Between proton-neutron there exists a force of attraction. Between neutron-neutron there exists a force of attraction. ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾನೆ? ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಪ್ರೋಟಾನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೋಟಾನ್ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಾನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಾನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಯು ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್. ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಟಾನ್ ಈಗ ರೊಟೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ವೈಸ್, ಅನದರ್ ಒನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಟಿ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ವೈಸ್. ಸೊ ಡಿಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್ like spins or unlike spins, it will be different. Okay, the nuclear force between the nuclei with like spin is more stronger than the force between nuclei with unlike spin. You need not explain that. You say they are spin dependent. Artha aita? Charge independent. Idu they do not obey inverse square law, I told. This is what they are charge independent. Charge independent does not depend on the charge. That is what I am telling. And again they are spin dependent. I am telling like they are spin dependent. Further statements are not required. You write just spin dependent. Okay, and again they have some property called as saturation property. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ಗಾದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ some few things we never ask to write this type of this use or this property. We'll ask you to mention any 3 properties, any 4 properties you can write. But I am telling they have a property of saturation. What do you mean by saturation? Means these nucleons, they'll interact with only neighboring nucleons. Now here one, see here inside it is like this here. Okay, there are protons, neutrons together. There are many are there, let me say. Now these two will interact. This is interact with always only neighboring, and this cannot interact with this, and this cannot interact with this, or this cannot interact with this. They will interact only with the neighboring nucleon. That is called as saturation property. And again when you go still closer, less than 0.5 meter, 0.5 Fermi, less than 0.5 Fermi, there will be a force of repulsion such that they are independent. See here what I am telling is, when nucleons are bringing together, there is a high amount of force of attraction is there. If such a force exists, that entire nucleus has to cling together. It has to become a single entity. But whereas neutrons are spinning, protons are spinning, that means there is a space for them. They are independent, they are rotating. That means still further if you go together, if you go further closer, there will be a small force of repulsion such that they can exist independently. That is called nuclei have got repulsive core, we say. These are all any few properties to remember. I will tell you, they are the strongest forces, they are strongly attractive, they are short range forces, they do not obey inverse square law, they are charge independent, they are spin dependent, they have a property of saturation like this. You try to remember those things. Okay, now here we talk about, and after this classification of nuclei and characteristics of nucleus. We have seen characteristics of nucleus. Now a very famous relation which every one of you are aware of it. That relation is nothing but Einstein's mass energy relation. Einstein is very famous for this relation. This is Einstein's mass energy relation. You have seen this since from lower classes only you are hearing, but statement I am giving it here. And even yesterday also somewhere I was mentioning Einstein's mass energy relation. Before to Einstein given this equation, we are studying conservation of mass separately, conservation of energy separately. So conservation of mass, you know, a solid can be converted into liquid can be converted into gas, and again interconversions. Conservation of energy can be transformed from one form to another form. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. But whereas what Einstein says, mass can be converted into energy, energy can be converted into mass. That relation he says E equals mc square. ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಬರೀರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಐನ್ಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟಿಬಲ್. ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟಿಬಲ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ E equals mc square. And then here for this E equals mc square, I am giving two examples. One is called annihilation of matter. ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ ಸಾಕು, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಸಾಕು. But still I can't resist to tell all these things. Annihilation of matter. In case if they ask, give an example of E equals mc square, annihilation of matter. That is like one electron and one positron. You know positron means it is not proton. It is not proton. It will have same mass as that of electron but opposite charge, positive charge. When you take these two particles, when you combine them, it will be destroyed. Annihilation means destruction. It is h nu. And even we say highly energetic photon, when moving near a massive nucleus, it will splits up into, we say, electron and positron. What is the meaning? Energy also can be converted to mass. Okay, this is a new concept that has given a revolution in science. But of course, he is very famous for this. At the same time, he is very, very famous for one more, theory of relativity. Theory of relativity. Morning I was giving one equation. These equations have been proposed by him only. M equals m naught by root of 1 minus v square by c square. He is a genius. That is different. M equals m naught by root of 1 minus v square by c square. It is relativity. But here nothing to do with that here. Only Einstein's mass energy relation and example, annihilation of matter. This is called pair production. We call it as pair production. Remember, it is called as pair production. Highly energetic, this will be converted into that. Okay, so that is Einstein's mass energy relation. Here again we talk about few things like what is atomic mass unit and how to convert it and all those things. And then before that itself, okay, atomic mass unit and electron volt I will be discussing. Atomic mass unit, even in chemistry also you have seen this atomic mass unit, AMU. What is AMU means? Definition. So it is like it is. Generally we are taking carbon 12 isotope and we are explaining. Come on, listen. It is defined as the 1/12 of the mass of one atom of carbon 12 isotope. It is defined as 1/12 of the mass of one atom of carbon 12 isotope in its normal state, not an excited state. Beware of this. 1/12 of the mass of one atom of carbon 12 isotope in its normal state. That is called as atomic mass unit. Okay, even you can say 1/16 of mass of one atom of oxygen 16. Okay, but carbon 12 it is quite stable, so we are taking mass of 1/12 of that. And again 1 AMU equals what is that value I will be giving. 1 AMU equals means, say now 6.023 into 10 power 23 atoms. How to get that AMU value? Atoms of carbon 12 weigh how much? 12 grams. Weigh 12 grams. Come on, listen. If I am writing 6.023 into 10 power 26, no problem. Atoms of carbon 12 weigh 12 kilograms, you write. I am writing 10 power 23 Avogadro number, it should be 12 grams. If I write 26 multiplied by 10 power 3, there you have to multiply, it will be 12 kilograms. Okay, so one atom weighs obviously you know 12 by, come on, understand, this many number of atoms will weigh this. What about one atom means 12 by 6.023 into 10 power 23. Got it? Now according to definition of AMU, 1/12 of mass of this is nothing but 1 AMU. So 1 AMU, idu keltare, idu important idu. 1 AMU 1/12 of 12 by 6.023 into 10 power 23. So here 12 and 12 cancels. The value, if you find out, 1 AMU will be equal to around 1.66 into 10 power minus 23. 1.66 into 10 power minus 23 kilograms. Okay, minus 27 kilograms, not in this is in grams, 27 kilograms. Remember this, and this can be written as 26. That why this is taking what 12 kilograms. Here usually I will be putting it in that way only. 6.023 into 10 power 26 atoms will weigh, I will write like kilograms. One will weigh this much, and then that 12 in grams only. If you want, 1.66 into 10 power minus 24, that's it. If you are putting it in grams, you put it as 10 power minus 24, but in kilograms that will be 1 AMU equals 1.66 into 10 power minus 27 kilograms. Okay, that is 1 AMU. Next, here we are defining electron volt. We made use of electron volts many times, but again we are defining in this chapter. What is electron volt means? EV. This is small e, and like this will be writing EV. It is the energy gained by the electron when it is accelerated through a potential difference of 1 volt. It is the energy gained by an electron when it is accelerated through a potential difference of 1 volt. One electron is there, maintain one potential, with what energy it will move. That is nothing but electron volt. 1 electron volt equals 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Okay, remember this. Now here you got one more, mass defect. Some definitions I will be giving first. Mass defect, and then binding energy, and then specific binding energy, and all those things. Come on, mass defect. These are all important definitions. Mass defect. What is mass defect means? We write just delta M. Delta M, mass defect. It is defined as the mass of the difference between mass of the constituents of the nucleus and mass of the nucleus. That is delta M. Try to know this. Delta M equals ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn, A minus Z into Mn minus M. M is rest mass of the nucleus. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ZMP plus A minus Z into Mn, by assuming like nucleus has got only protons and neutrons. I told there are many particles are there inside the nucleus, but whereas their average lifetime is very less. They are there, they are not there in such a way. Okay, so these are the stable things, proton and neutron, and even in proton and neutron also there will be interconversions. Neutron gets converted into proton, proton gets converted into neutron, but overall mass number will remain same. So you can have, that is mass defect. Mass defect is what? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? Difference between mass of the constituents of the nucleus and the rest mass of the nucleus. Okay, this is mass defect. Next you have got one more, binding energy. Binding energy. Say this is just like nuclear force. I will be giving this binding energy. So I told inside the nucleus there are protons, there are neutrons. I told there must be a force of repulsion between protons, but still it is stable. Here the energy with which nucleons inside the nucleus are bounded, it is called as binding energy. Kelly definition once again, the energy with which nucleons inside the nucleus are bounded, that is called as binding energy. Okay, next one more term we say specific binding energy. Nodi, ee chapter lo especially many small definitions are there. Specific binding energy. What is specific binding energy means? It is nothing but binding energy per nucleon. This is called specific binding energy. It is defined as binding energy per nucleon. That's it. Specific binding energy means it is nothing but binding energy per nucleon. You can even call it as delta M into C square. Delta M into C square by A. You can write like that. Okay. This is. And again I will be showing one small definition here, small derivation. Show that one AMU equals 931 MeV. One derivation is there, like show that one AMU equals 931 MeV. So that is, note it down. that is one small derivation for 2 or 3 marks. Show that based on all this concept only 1 AMU equals 931 MeV. 931 MeV. So now we have seen already, say we will make use of those things from the definition of AMU. Practice ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. This is also important for 2-3 marks. It is important. I know you will try to write 5 mark questions easily, but whereas 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark questions you will not be writing because that requires some subject knowledge. Okay. So from the definition of AMU, it is 1 AMU equals, just before this I was showing 1.66 into 10 power minus 27 kilograms. Okay, from the definition of AMU. Now according to Einstein's mass energy relation, we have got E equals mc square. Now what is the energy equivalent of this means? 1.66 into 10 power minus 27 multiplied by c square. C square you can take it as 3 into 10 power 8, or even we write specifically 2.997. Still it is there, still some numbers are there, accuracy 10 power 8 square. Okay, you will get answer. Do this calculations by using calculator. You will get it as around 14.91. Say what I did, square this and then 1.66. It will be 14.91. And again 10 power minus 27, 10 power 16, 10 power minus 11 joules. 10 power minus 11 joules. Just you can put this 10 power minus 11 joules. But I would like to convert into electron volts. If I would like to convert into electron volts, what to write now? 14.91 into 10 power minus 10 power minus 11 divided by just 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. That is the conversion of joules into electron volts. Joules into electron volts. So what you get here means around 930.7. If you do properly all these things, 930.7 into 10 power 6 electron volts you will get. In a way 9.307 into 10 power 8 you will get. 9.307 into 10 power 8, and then I can write that as 930.7 million electron volts. 930.7 million electron volts you are getting. Okay, so that can be written as 931 MeV. 931 MeV. That's it. Okay, approximately it is. Question is what? Show that 1 AMU equals 931 MeV. And if you are getting some 932, don't worry. Approximately we are doing. Okay, if you take 3 into 10 power 8, you might get even still more than that. Approximately it is 931. This is one derivation. In nuclei chapter, derivation is only one. In radioactivity, next subsequent topic you have got. Okay, but here this is. Show that 1 AMU equals 931 MeV. From the definition of AMU, 1 AMU is 1.66 into 10 power minus 27 kilograms. E equals mc square, and so m is this, and c square 14.91 into 10 power minus 11 joules. Divide it with 1.6 into 10 power minus 19, you will get 930.7 into 10 power 6, approximate it 931 million electron volts. Okay, this is. Next here, one packing fraction we say, that is also, I don't want to leave even that packing fraction we call. What is that packing fraction means? Packing fraction. Come on, try to have this. Packing fraction. Have an idea just. It is like just binding energy per nucleon, specific binding energy. Mass defect per nucleon. Mass defect per nucleon is called packing fraction. It can be shown that m minus a by a also. M is mass and a is mass number. Mass number is a whole number. Okay, this is weight is different, molecular weight or mass is different. M is taken as atomic mass. M is atomic mass. A is mass number. Okay, atomic mass you don't get 35.5 or something like that. Atomic mass you will get, atomic number you don't get. We will say 35, 36, 37, 38 in that way. Okay. Actually, this packing fraction is 0 for carbon 12 atom. Okay, 0 for carbon 12 atom, but mass defect is non-zero. There is a mass defect, but whereas packing fraction will be 0. Those concepts are different. You don't worry about those things. Now, one more 5 mark question now. What is that 5 mark question here means binding energy curve. Binding energy curve. Tumba easy ide ivella nanu ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ careful agiri ashte. Binding energy curve. Even though we say it as binding energy curve, we are plotting actually specific binding energy along y-axis and mass number along x-axis. Say specific binding energy I am writing. I am writing specific binding energy in million electron volts in MeV versus mass number, that is A we are writing. Okay. Here curve little some ideas if how you can write properly. First, what is binding energy curve means you say the curve obtained by plotting by specific binding energy along y-axis, mass number along x-axis. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? What is binding energy curve ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಬರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ it is a curve obtained by plotting. It is a curve obtained by plotting what and what? Specific binding energy along x-axis, I mean y-axis. Specific binding energy along y-axis and mass number along x-axis. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ. This is you take like somewhere here 40 and 80 because there are many. So 120 scale I am writing like this. 160. This might be 200 and 240 maximum. Rest are radioactive. I don't take. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million electron volts, 6, 7, 8, 9. For the sake of completeness, 10 I will be taking. This is 10. Okay, here somewhere around 56, in this way 56, you need not completely write that. So somewhere around 56 here, around 56 in this way, around 8.8, this is 5, okay, this is 5 here, and so maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, around 8.8 and 5.6, you make one point here. This is for iron. For iron, it is 8.8 MeV. Remember that. And then around 238 or 240, around 240, you write 7.6 for 238. Somewhere here, 238, 7.6. 7.6 means, say, roughly I am doing, and you use scale and all, you write. This is for uranium. Uranium 238. It is uranium 238. It is 7.6 MeV. For iron, it is maximum. It is 8.8 MeV. And again, below 20, again, you better try to have some line like this. 20. This is 20. Okay, below 20. Somewhere here, 1H1, it is highly unstable. Next, H2 is okay, and H3 is unstable. And you write like this. Somewhere after some 6.5 or so, you show some characteristic maxima and minima. Let it be around 7.5 or less than that. And from here, you write the curve to increase gradually. And then from here, it has to decrease gradually to this. This is the curve. You have to show some characteristic maxima and minima. That is important. Okay. So that's it. This is specific binding energy versus this. Here, H1, 1H1, it is very, very small. 1H1 is nothing but 1H1 here. Okay, 1H1, it is specific binding energy small. H2 comparatively stable. H3 again, it is unstable. Now further, you have to go ahead. There are some characteristic maxima and minima. That also I will be explaining. But all those things should come within 20. That you should have an idea. Within 20 you have to get. And again, it rises to this point, 8.8. And so here, it will be 7.6. Okay, when I remove that, all points will be cancelled. Okay, like this. Okay, now After writing that curve, you have to explain some points. What are the points means? You have to say like the binding energy curve rises sharply in the beginning, leaving these things sharply in the beginning, and shows some characteristic maxima and minima, and then gradually increases to a maximum of 8.8 MeV. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Maximum of 8.8 MeV. Okay, and then gradually reduces to 7.6 MeV. ಇಷ್ಟು ಬರೀರಿ. Curve rises sharply in the beginning and shows some characteristic maxima and minima, then gradually increases to maximum of 8.8 MeV for iron 56, and then gradually decreases to 7.6 MeV for uranium 238. ಅದು ಬರೀರಿ. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ some features of it, what to say now? First point, lighter nuclei such as 1H1, 1H2, 1H3 have got very less specific binding energy, and hence they are highly unstable. That is the reason I am telling they are all highly unstable. Light nuclei such as 1H1, 1H2, 1H3, they have got very less specific binding energy, and hence they are highly unstable. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಆಮೇಲೆ in the region of small mass numbers, the curve shows, in the region of small mass numbers, the curve shows characteristic maxima and minima. ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ, He4, and if you take, and again lithium if you take, it will be less, and beryllium it will be more. Okay, that is equal and even number of protons and neutrons, it shows characteristic maxima. Equal and odd number of protons and neutrons, it shows some minima. ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇದನ್ನು ಬರೀರಿ. In the region of small mass numbers, curve shows characteristic maxima and minima. And again, the nuclei of intermediate mass number, the nuclei ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ of intermediate mass numbers ಅಂದರೆ 40 to 120. Let me say around 40 to 120 or 30 to 120 also you can take. Around 30 to 120 or 40, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ 40, 120 somewhere here, they have got high specific binding energy, and hence they are highly stable. ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ stability ಕಮ್ಮಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ it shows some characteristic maxima and minima. Here the nuclei of intermediate mass numbers between 40 and 120 show very high specific binding energy, and hence they are highly stable. Okay, now the nuclei having mass number greater than 120, say here greater than 120, they have got not very less specific binding energy compared to 40 to 120. They are, don't say they are less stable, they don't say they are highly unstable or unstable, they are less stable. These are highly stable, they are less stable. Now one more point, nuclei having mass number greater than 238, let me say greater than 238, have got very less specific binding energy, and they are highly unstable and radioactive. I am not showing only more than 240, I am not showing, only 238 only we have stopped actually. Nuclei having mass numbers greater than 238 have got less specific binding energy, and hence they are highly unstable and radioactive. They will always undergo disintegration. ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. This is one important 5-mark question. Explain binding energy curve. The curve obtained by plotting specific binding energy along y-axis, mass number along x-axis is called binding energy curve. And then write that curve. How to write the curve and all I have shown. You have to take, like for 56 you make a mark at 8.8, for 238 7.6, 20, within 20 you try to show this characteristic maxima and minima. That's it. The nuclei, first lighter nuclei have got very less specific binding energy, and therefore they are highly unstable. Next, what? In the region of small mass numbers, curve shows some characteristic maxima and minima. Next, the nuclei of intermediate mass numbers between 40 and 120, high specific binding energy, they are highly stable. The nuclei having mass number greater than 120, they got slightly comparatively less specific binding energy, less stable. The nuclei having mass number greater than 238 have very less specific binding energy, and hence they are highly unstable and radioactive. Okay, and so this much you should know. Now further you say, I talk about few things. I'll go ahead quickly, which are very, very important. Those things I'll be telling. Other things you can go through. Few things you'll be knowing, like chain reaction and all you'll be knowing. But what I need is nuclear fission, definition of nuclear fission. Even reactor also you can go ahead. If time permits, tomorrow once again I'll tell nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactor is also important. Okay, that is what is nuclear reactor and all we'll be seeing. Just we'll see. Nuclear fission. What is nuclear fission means? You know, in lower classes also we have studied. What is nuclear fission means? The phenomenon in which a heavy nucleus splits up into two lighter nuclei of comparable masses, releasing 2 or 3 neutrons together with a large amount of energy. That is called as nuclear fission. See, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೀಲೇಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಲೋಯರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್, ಯು ರೈಟ್ ಇಟ್. It's a phenomenon in which a heavy nucleus splits up into what? Smaller nuclei of comparable masses, releasing 2 or 3 neutrons and as well as high amount of energy. I hope you're getting it. That is nothing but nuclear fission. Okay, now one example. That examples you should never forget. 92U235. 92U235. Plus neutron, that is a slow moving neutron. It bombards. When it bombards here, what do you get in 92U236. 92U236. So actually here only observe 92U235 is compared to 236, it is highly stable. Okay, when the capture of one neutron, addition of one neutron makes this unstable. That splits up into 2 nuclei. That is, one is 56 barium 141. Try to remember this only. 56 barium 141 plus 36 krypton 92 plus 3 neutrons plus energy. Remember and write this energy. This is the fission reaction. That is barium 141, 36 krypton 92, and compare the atomic number and mass number. Balance the atomic number and mass number. 92 plus 0, 92. 56 plus 36, 56 plus 36, what it will be? 92. Okay, here 235 plus 1, 236. 141 plus 92, 233. Where are 3 more means 3 neutrons. 3 neutrons means 3 into 1 plus 3. It is balanced. Okay, that balancing. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದನ್ನು ತುಂಬ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರೀಬೋದು. When uranium 235 nucleus is bombarded with a slow moving neutron, it captures neutron, forms an unstable compound nucleus U236, which further splits up into barium krypton, releasing 3 neutrons and energy. ಇದು 5 marks ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, 3 marks ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಬರೀಬೋದು. What is nuclear fission? And explain nuclear fission. The phenomenon in which heavy nucleus splits up into 2 or 3 nuclei of comparable masses, releasing 2 or 3 neutrons. Okay, and together with large amount of energy is called nuclear fission. Write the equation. Explanation of the equation. When uranium 235 is bombarded with a slow moving neutron, it captures the neutron and forms an unstable compound nucleus. Even here we will be writing it. Here we will be putting like unstable compound nucleus. Unstable compound nucleus. I will be writing clearly unstable compound nucleus, which further splits up into 56 barium 141 plus 36 krypton 92. One reaction, remember, but these are not always unique. Those things can be different. Products are different. Okay, but whereas reactants are same here. Okay, here next what to write in the above reaction, the difference between mass of the reactants and difference between mass of the reactants and as well as products is about, we write, is about 0.2154 AMU, remember that. You have to remember if you want to get good marks, 0.2154 AMU, the difference in mass between reactants and the products, which when converted into energy, roughly you will be getting around 200 MeV. That's it. That is also right. That is also okay. This is about nuclear fission. That's it. Idun tilkoli. Amale idralli nuclear chain reaction. You know, here 3 neutrons are released. Those 3 neutrons will further gives 3 more neutrons. 1133 neutrons in that way. Here not always 3 neutrons, 2 or 3 neutrons. And an average we say 2.5 neutrons. 2.5 neutrons are released in and an average in a fission reaction. So that is called chain reaction. Say this neutron will give out 3 more neutrons. This neutron again 3 and this 3 and again this 3. Like this some chain reaction will be occurring. I hope you are getting it. Some chain reaction will be occurring here. So this will be giving out 3 neutrons and again and here these are 3 neutrons. These 3 neutrons will give out 3 neutrons. Like this again this will give out 3 neutrons. It is chain reaction. And in this chain reaction you have got again controlled chain reaction, uncontrolled chain reaction. What is controlled chain reaction means? You know, it is a controlled chain reaction means it is a chain reaction in which neutron population is maintained constant. Neutron population is maintained constant. Okay, and such that controlled supply of energy is obtained. That is chain reaction, controlled chain reaction. Uncontrolled chain reaction means idu just explain madala nanu. Uncontrolled chain reaction in which neutron population is allowed to multiply indefinitely, leading to a violent explosion. Okay. Adral again you have got a nuclear reactor. Okay, nuclear reactor. What do you mean by nuclear reactor means? It is a device. Say clear definition I am telling. Try to remember that. The clear definition is for nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactor, and after completing this once for all, we will go ahead with radioactivity concept. So, nuclear reactor. It is a device. Nuclear reactor means in which a self-sustained and yet controlled chain reaction occurs. Nodkoli ee words na use ಮಾಡಿ self-sustained and yet controlled chain reaction occurs. That is nothing but nuclear reactor. In nuclear reactor there are 3 types: breeder reactor, power reactor, okay, research reactors. Breeder reactors which converts fertile material into fissile material, research reactors which is used for only research purpose, and power reactor, it is used to produce power in a large scale. I talk about this, some parts of nuclear reactor and how it will be working. Little quickly I will be going ahead. Come on here. Okay, I remove this. Self-sustained and yet controlled chain reaction takes place. That is nothing but nuclear reactor. Here nuclear power reactor. Power reactor, you say in NCERT book they had given one figure, that also you can write, or otherwise we use it to write one more. So it is like this will be taking. These are all the brick walls. Lead, 2 to 3 meter thickness brick walls. Okay. So here some control rods will be taking. Just I am putting it like this. This control rods here. Okay, it is here. It will be continued. And again here we write like some opening will be putting. Some opening. Come on, you just go through any other book also and you can write. Here, nuclear fuel. In between nuclear fuel will be there. And this side you will be having some. Okay. I will put this as a nuclear fuel. Here also that will be taken in aluminum cylinders and it will be kept nuclear fuel. Here also nuclear fuel, and it is surrounded by moderators. That this red line, that is the nuclear fuel. Okay, that red line is the nuclear fuel. And so if I am writing like this here, this is the moderator. This is moderator. It is surrounded by moderators. Okay. This is moderator. And again here some control rods. Here there are some control rods. The rods have been dropped like this. These are the control rods. Purpose I will be telling, just you listen. These are the control rods. I'll be taking like this. These are the control rods. And in here the heat generated will be removed. So heat generated I'll be putting like this. One steam chamber we take, and in the steam chamber we'll be putting. So it will be like this here. Okay, this is given to this like this, and here one steam chamber, water inlet, this is water inlet. Okay, here steam outlet, and again this is connected to turbines, magnetic turbines. See, you remember this again. In any case, wherever we are producing power in large scale, we are rotating magnetic turbines. Hydropower, hydroelectricity, making use of water to rotate the magnetic turbines. Thermoelectric power plants, the heat generated is made use to rotate the magnetic turbines. Nuclear power stations, you see, nuclear power stations also, what we are doing in nuclear power stations also, we are converting this energy we are making use to rotate the magnetic turbines. These are the lead walls, very huge walls we will be taking. See here, parts of the reactor I will be telling. First, nuclear fuel it is. So this at least parts you should know. Nuclear fuel, the fissionable material used in the reactor is called as nuclear fuel. And in moderator, the substances which are used to slow down the neutrons, that is called as moderators. Okay, coolant, which are used to absorb neutrons, control rods which are used to absorb neutrons, it is called control rod, barium and cadmium. And moderators, graphite, D2O, graphite and D2O, try to remember, heavy water, D2O means heavy water. And again we are using coolant to remove the heat produced, that should have very high thermal conductivity and high specific heat. You can use ordinary water, you can use heavy water, okay, and even liquid sodium and all those things also you can use. And again protecting wall and some exchange steam. It is, idea is just this, one neutron will cause nuclear fission, some neutrons will be produced, moderator absorbs some neutrons and it will allow only a few neutrons only, and they will come and strike this and energy will be produced. And if the neutron population is quite more and more, control rods will be dropped down. Otherwise what we do, control rods will be taken to a higher position. Control rods will be taking, like, say here, these control rods, we are putting to a smaller extent. These are the control rods. So we will put like this. When you sense like this nuclear fission reaction is becoming uncontrolled, then we will push them down. That is shut off rods also we call. This is about nuclear reactor. You just try to go through this. And again only one more I will be explaining here. Nuclear fusion. And differences between nuclear fission and fusion. Come on, let me talk about nuclear fusion. It is very, very simple. Nuclear fusion. What is nuclear fusion means? Again, one more sentence it is required. It is a process in which two or more lighter nuclei combine to form heavier nuclei. This is like, with example only I will tell first. 1H2 plus 1H2 gives, you can write 2He4 plus energy, or even 1H2 plus 1H2 plus 1H2 gives 2He3 plus neutron plus energy, Say when two deuterons are combined, they will become one helium nucleus possibility. When two deuterons are combined, it will become one triton, and as well as one neutron will be released. But this is not that easy. You can't combine those protons or deuterons easily. You need very high temperature. That point you have to write. As it is, what you can say, when two deuterons are fused at a very high temperature, that too in the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin, 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin, a helium nucleus, that is heavy nucleus, compared to this heavy nucleus, a heavy nucleus helium will be produced. and it is giving out energy. Energy given out here, it is around 24.6 million electron volts. Try to remember. It is about 24.6 million electron volts. Okay. This is nuclear fusion, but it occurs at very high temperatures. But rather than this, try to remember one more. What is that, In exams, what we ask is distinguish between nuclear fission and fusion. Come on, that I will be showing. Nuclear fission. One side is nuclear fission and the another side it is nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion. Okay. Nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Okay. Nuclear fission, it is a process in which, what do you say? It is a process in which a heavy nucleus splits up into two or more lighter nuclei of comparable masses. That is the definition you have to write. I am telling this is most important. Okay. Distinguish between nuclear fission and fusion. What do you write this side, nuclear fusion? What you are supposed to write is, it is a phenomenon in which two lighter nuclei combine to form a heavy nucleus. Combine to form heavy nucleus. Okay. Here this is what? This is fission. Fission is a heavy nucleus splits up into two or more lighter nuclei of comparable masses. Here this is two or more lighter nuclei combined to form. This is combined to form. That is a fusion. That is fusion. Okay. Wait a minute. What is this? Okay. That is nuclear fission and again this is nuclear fusion. I am telling you. Very first thing. Only some 4 or 5 distinguishing properties, if you remember, it will be more than enough. Here always 2 or 3 neutrons are released. 2 or 3 neutrons are released. 2 or 3 neutrons are released. Here neutrons may or may not be released. Neutrons may or may not be released. I had given 2 equations. 1H2 plus 1H2 gives 2He4. And then 1H2 plus 1H2 gives, I had given one more, 2He3 plus 0N1. 0N1 is neutron. And again here, it occurs at normal temperatures. It occurs at normal temperatures. It occurs at very high temperatures. Very high temperatures are required. In the order of, if you remember, you can write 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin. And again here, this is important. Energy released per reaction. Energy released per reaction is high here. Per reaction, per nuclear fission reaction is high, very high. And here that energy released per reaction is less. Why? Yakele illi 200 MeV anta helidde. Less to 24.6 MeV. But by seeing this, don't come to a conclusion like nuclear fission is powerful. Not actually, nuclear fusion is powerful. Why? Here I am making use of 235 plus 1 neutron. How many? 236 nucleons I am making use. For 236 nucleon, illi 200 MeV barta ide. 1 nucleon ge, okay, 1 nucleon ge 200 by 236. It is less than 1 million electron volt per nucleon if I take. But whereas in this case 24.6, how many nucleons I am using? Only 4. It is more than 6. It is more than 6, which is powerful. Fusion is powerful. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಎರಡು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಲಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ here is high, here per reaction is less. Energy released per nucleon less, and here per nucleon more. Okay. And again here nuclear wastage which is produced, it is very difficult to dispose. Here no nuclear wastage is produced. And again the fuel required for this nuclear fission reaction is rare and expensive. You don't get uranium, thorium and all very easily, you don't get plutonium and all. But whereas here you need hydrogen, it is quite cheap and it is in abundance. May not be in air, only less than 1% hydrogen percentage is very less. 78% nitrogen is there. Okay, 21% oxygen is there. Remaining all gases put together in air only 1%. You are aware of that, only 1%. But whereas what I am telling here is hydrogen is available in water, you can extract and you can do it. That is, fuel abundance is quite high. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ fission and fusion differences are important. Okay. Later what I do, we'll go to radioactivity. So for around 1 hour or so we'll complete. Then I am telling you are almost equipped with 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 9, 25 marks. Further I'll be telling some 2 more chapters in the next sessions and all, and then I'll give you some important questions and some important things. Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll continue in the next session.